In this week's parasha, the 10 makkahs are completed. Chazal say that the 10 plagues correspond to the 10 utterances, to the Asor Ma'amoris that Hashem created the world with. What's the connection between the 10 makkos and the 10 Ma'amoris, the 10 utterances that Hashem created the world with? The first mitzvah received by the Jewish people in this week's parasha is the mitzvah of Kiddush HaChodesh. HaChodesh Hazeh Lochem. Why is that such an important and fundamental mitzvah that it was the first mitzvah that was given to us? The answer to these questions lies in a very fundamental pasuk. A pasuk in Tehillim, in chapter 119, Kapitel Kuf Yotes. David HaMelech says there in Tehillim, at the beginning of the Lameds, La'olam Hashem Dvarcha Nitzav Bashamayim. Your word Hashem is always standing in heaven. What does that mean? So the Baal Shem HaKadosh explains that David HaMelech is revealing that the very same utterance that Hashem created Shemayim with when He created the world, those very same Devarcha, the very same Ma'amar utterance which Hashem created Shemayim with then, Hashem is still, until this day, every moment, constantly creating the whole Shemayim with those very same Amoris that Hashem created the world originally with. La'olam Hashem, forever, until today, Dvarcha, the words that you created Shemayim then with, are still Nitzav Bashemayim, are still there and are creating all the time. Like we say in davening, Hamachadish B'tuvoi B'chol Yoim Tamid Ma'aseh Bereishis. Ma'aseh Bereishis is occurring all the time. A parallel pasuk to this is B'dvar Hashem, with the word of Hashem, Shemayim Nasu. The only problem with this pasuk is that this is true for the whole creation. Like we just quoted from Tefillah, B'chol Yom Tamid Ma'aseh Bereishis. This is true for the whole Ma'aseh Bereishis. So why does David HaMelech say this pasuk only regarding Shemayim? La'olam Hashem Dvarcha Nitzav Bashemayim. Shemayim is being recreated all the time. The whole Bria, all creation is being created all the time with those same 10 Mamoris that Hashem originally created the world with. So why does David HaMelech focus on Shemayim and not on Aretz? The same is true for Aretz. But the answer to this question is that in Shemayim, the Nivraim in Shemayim, the Malachim, etc., the Chayas, the Ifanim, the Srafim, all the different Nivraim in Shemayim, all recognize and feel all the time that they are the Nivra and they are constantly being created by the Boirei. They feel this. Their whole existence, their whole relationship with Hashem is one of a Nivra to a Boirei. They feel that Hashem is constantly creating them all the time. And therefore it's very beautiful that in the bracha that precedes Shema, Yoytze Or or Boirei Choshech, talks about Hashem being the Yoytze Or and the Boirei of Choshech in the present. It's happening all the time. There, Chazal expound in this bracha on the Malachim, on the Malachei Hashoros. The whole arichas we have about the avoid of the Malachim. And they're called Yoitzer, Meshorsim, Boirei Kedoshim, we say, Yoitzer, Meshorsim, Boirei, Yoitzer. And the reason is because the Malachim feel this Machadash B'tuvoi. The Malachim feel this Machadash B'tuvoi, B'chol Yom Tov and Ma'aseh Bereishis, which we say in the same bracha. They feel, therefore, La'olam Hashem Dvarcha Nitzav Bashemayim means that in Shemayim, the whole relationship of the Nivra to the Boirei is that the Nivra feels this bittul to Hashem, that he's being created all the time. However, on Aretz, down here, there's a big hester when it comes to this idea. In English, you use words like people are creative. You use words like creativity. As if almost we are creative, we are creating, as if almost Chas v'Shalom, we are the Boirei. Because this is the Olam Asiyah. And in the Olam Asiyah, it's the world of productivity. People do, people think, people do. People keilu create, but they're not creating. Hashem is creating. Ein kol chodesh tachas Hashemesh, says Shlomo HaMelech. And we'll see this is in fact the avodah of our avodah down here in the world. Our avodah down here in the world is to recognize, just like in Shemayim, just to recognize that we are the Nivra and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the Boirei. For this, Hashem left behind part of creation, which is called the rain. The pasuk says in Bereishis, "V'chol siach hasada terem yitzmach." Nothing can grow. Man down here can be very creative. He can sow, he can plow, he can prepare the ground in the most fertile ground for the most beautiful plants, the most beautiful vegetables and fruits to grow. If there's no rain, nothing's going to grow. Rain is something that Hashem left behind for us to realize that even after we've done everything we do down here in our world of creativity, if Hashem doesn't bring rain down from Shemayim, nothing's going to happen. Rain relays a message that Hashem is the creator and we are the Nivra, but Hashem is creating all the time down here as well. This is an introduction to explaining the Klippa of Mitzrayim. In Mitzrayim it didn't rain. They never had this message relayed. In Mitzrayim they could live independently, feeling that they are the Boirei. In fact, Paroi was just that. Paroi's claim, Paroi's denial in Hashem, different than all other kings that served idols. Paroi says, and we read it in Yecheskel and the Haftarah of this last Shabbos, Paroi says, Li oiri, va'ani asisini. And the Heilige Malbim explains that means. Li asisani means, Ani asisani means I created myself. I am the boirei of myself. Nobody created me. I am the boirei. I created myself. Li oiri, explains the Malbim. I created our source of life, the rivers that gives us water. Paro's whole denial is that he is a boirei. He feels chas v'shalom, but he feels that he is a boirei. Li oiri ani asisini. I created myself and I created a ya'or. There's no rain in Mitzrayim. There's no message reminding us from Shemayim that Hashem is the boirei. And that was the klippa and the denial of Paroi. Therefore, the avodah of Mitzrayim, of Hashem in Mitzrayim, was to break through this klippa. And this is the relationship that Paroi had with the snake. We know that more than once, Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu to turn the staff into a snake in front of Paroi. Paroi has a relationship with the snake. In fact, that pasuk in Yecheskel says, Hatanin Agadol, the serpent, the snake. What's the shaychus of Paroi to a snake? The answer is, the snake represents the original snake in Gan Eden. And what did he tell Adam Rishon? He told Adam Rishon, Ve'yisem kelikim, you and Chava can be like God. Rashi explains, what did he say? Rashi explains that the Nachash told Adam Rishon and Chava, Hashem ate from the Eitz Hadas, and that gave him the koach to create the world. The Nachash says to Chava, and Adam and Chava, says Rashi, if you eat from the Eitz Hadas, you can become a Yoitzer Elamas, you can create worlds, you can become a Boirei. The clip of the Nachash was to fool man into thinking that he is a Boirei and he can become a Boirei. That's exactly Paroi. Paroi feels that he's a Boirei. That's the relationship of Paroi to the Nachash. We see this chilek between Shemayim and Oretz in the division between Torah Shebiksav, the written law, and Torah Shebal Peh. Chazal say that Torah Shebiksav represents Shemayim. Hashem came down and spoke to us from Shemayim. Torah Shebiksav, the Racham HaKodesh, at the beginning of Azinu says, is compared to rain. Rain comes from Shemayim. That's Torah Shebiksav. Torah Shebiksav is Shemayim. Torah Shebal Peh is dew. The dew, the tal on the ground, looks like it comes from the ground. Says the Racham HaKodesh that represents Torah Shebal Peh. That's shaychus to Oretz. Torah Shebiksav is shaychus to Shemayim. That's why Torah Shebiksav, the written law, that's shayach to Shemayim, and in Shemayim everybody permeates with the feeling that Hashem is the Boirei. So Torah Shebiksav begins with Hashem as the Boirei, Bereishis bara Elokim, and the whole lengthy account of Ma'aseh Bereishis at the beginning of Torah Shebiksav, because Torah Shebiksav is Shemayim, and in Shemayim it's crystal clear that Hashem is the Boirei. On Oretz, it's not so crystal clear at all. In fact, our avodah is to bring and reveal down here in this world that Hashem is the Boirei, just like it's felt in Shemayim. And that's why Torah Shebal Peh, the Torah of down here, begins with Maseches Brochis and begins with Seder Zroim. You could ask a question. Zroim, the Seder Zroim of Mishnayos, Peah, Demai, talks about all the laws of the field. Zroim, where does Brachas come into it? Why do we begin Seder Zroim with Brachas? But the answer is beautiful, according to what we're saying. You can sow, you can plow. If it doesn't rain, nothing will grow. You're going to know first that Hashem is the Boirei, and then you can do your avodah in this world. That's why we begin Torah Shebal Peh with Maseches Brachas. And what do we learn in Maseches Brachas? Making brachas. What is the nusach the Chazal instituted in making brachas? Boirei pri ha'etz, boirei pri adoma, boirei minei mezoinos, shahakol nihiyah b'dvaroi. Hashem is the boirei. We begin Torah Shebal Peh, which is the Torah of Aretz, which is the place that doesn't recognize this. And we begin Torah Shebal Peh, Aretz, Torah Aretz, with the recognition and the Hakara that Hashem is Boirei, and you're going to repeat it time and time again that Hashem is the Boirei. Only then can you embark on plowing and sowing and Peh on Demai and all the other Masechtas. The same is true for the Beis HaMikdash that we had down here. The Beis HaMikdash was an embassy of Shemaim down here in Aretz. The Beis HaMikdash was a place where you walk into the Beis HaMikdash, you feel that Hashem is the Boirei. Why was Betzalel chosen to build a Mishkan? The Gemara says in Brochus, Yoidea Hoya Betzalel, Letzaref Behem Oisius Shenivru Behem Shemaim V'Aretz. Betzalel knew how to put together letters of the 10 utterances, formulating words that Hashem created the world with. Why did Betzalel have to know that to build the Mishkan? The answer is because the Mishkan is like a Brias Olam. The Mishkan is the place down here in Aretz that teaches a person and gives a person the feeling that permeates with this feeling that Hashem is the Boirei. This was the whole idea of the Beis HaMikdash down here. So with that we can understand. Also why Moshe Rabbeinu was chosen to be the Goyel, to the Redeemer of the Jewish people. By the way, before we come on to Moshe Rabbeinu, just to add one more thing about the Beis HaMikdash. We know there was a group of Kohanim, a group of Levim, and a group of Yisraelim that were all together in Avodah in the Beis HaMikdash. The Kohanim did their Avodah. The Levim sang. But there was a parallel for every group of Kohanim and Levim. There was a parallel group of Yisraelim. What did they do? Says the Mishnah in Tanis, that they used to congregate together, and while their parallel group of Kohanim were doing the Avodah, and their parallel group of Levim were doing the Shir in the Beis HaMikdash, the parallel group of Yisraelim were in Shul, doing Ma'amodos. What's Ma'amodos? They took out a Sefer Torah, they were reading Brias Shemayim V'Aretz. The first day of creation, and the second day of creation, and the third day of creation, and going again and again and again, bringing Brias Shemayim V'Aretz into the Beis HaMikdash. So you see how the Beis HaMikdash is involved. It's a place down here, but it's the Aretz b'tikunoi. It's the Aretz the way the Aretz should function. And that is the feeling that Hashem is the Boirei, just like in Shemayim. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu was chosen to be the Goyel. When Moshe Rabbeinu was born, the Pasuk says, Vatere oisei ki toivu. Says Rashi, what does it mean? They saw he's good? Says Rashi, when Moshe Rabbeinu was born, the whole room became full of light. Nismale, the whole house. Nismale abayis kule oira. How do we know that when the Pasuk says ki toiv, it means the house became full of light? What does toiv to do with light? Says the Sifsei Chachamim, at the beginning of creation, the first thing that was created, Yehi Ar, Vayehi Ar, the Pasuk says, V'ya'alakim es Ar ki toiv. So you see from there, that when Moshe Rabbeinu was born, and the Pasuk says it was toiv, it means light. From here we see something fascinating. The depth of this is, that when Moshe Rabbeinu was born, the aura and the atmosphere in the room was the atmosphere of Yehi Ar, of Ar Kitoi from the beginning of creation. Moshe Rabbeinu brings everybody back to the beginning of creation, that Hashem is the Boirei. Moshe Rabbeinu is therefore the one to chose to fight Paroi, to combat Paroi, to overthrow Paroi. Paroi is the feeling that Ani, Li Oiri, Ani Asisini, I am the Boirei. And Moshe Rabbeinu, from the moment he was born, he brought us all back to the beginning of creation, of Yehi Ar, Vayalakim es Ar Kitoi. So now we understand why the Asara Ma'amoros are corresponding to the Asara Esem Makkos. Paroi denied in all 10 Ma'amoros. Paroi said, I'm the creator. And therefore, every Makkah overthrew one denial and revealed one Maimer of the Asara Ma'amoros that Hashem created the world with. After the 10 Makkos, Hashem broken through and revealed all the Asara Ma'amoros that the world was created with. The climax of this was when we received the Aseres HaDibros. And the Holy Sfas Emes says that the Aseres HaDibros, they are the final breakthrough in revealing how the Asara Ma'amoros is all a parallel. So that's why the 10 Ma'amoros correspond to the 10 plagues, correspond to the 10 Ma'amoros. The 10 plagues revealed the 10 Ma'amoros that Paroi denied him. That explains why the first mitzvah, leaving Mitzrayim, was the mitzvah of Kiddush HaChodesh that we were commanded with. First mitzvah. What is Kiddush HaChodesh? The moon disappears at the end of the month. And it reappears. It looks like it's recreated. It looks like it disappeared, it vanished, it's not there, and it looks like it's resurfacing, it's recreated. The Kiddush HaChodesh reminds us of the Chiddush of Bria, that Hashem is the Boirei. And therefore the mitzvah of Kiddush HaChodesh was done by the Beis HaMikdash in Yerushalayim. The place that permeates with the idea that Hashem is the Boirei. That was the first mitzvah, because that's what we had to take out and break of the Mitzrayim. Break the klippa of Paro of Li Oiri Ani Asisini. When a person lives his life feeling that he is the Niver and Hashem is the Boirei, and Hashlech al Hashem Yehovcha, he puts his whole emunah, and he puts realizing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you are the shorish of everything, and I'm your Nivra. Then you develop the same kesher as the Malachim have with Hashem, and then we'll be Zorchem Es Hashem to be taken out of the ultimate exile. B'mehera b'yameinu agot ne'erev Shabbos.